Hello everyone, my name is Xinzhi. The topic I'm going to talk about is a mental orientation approach for aspect-based system analysis. I will introduce it from the following four parts. The first part is the background of the study. Nowadays, with the explosion of data, the traditional manual process method becomes unrealistic. The automatic segmental analysis use computer technology is the focus of research in the field of natural language process. Based on the aspect-level system analysis is typical of fine-grained emotional classification that assess a segment polarity for each of the aspects in a review. For example, large memory but the performance was poor. The first aspect, memory, reveals positive, but performance shows polarity is negative. The research study of segmental analysis can be divided into two directions: machine learning based on statistics and neural network. For the former, it is divided into building the dictionary and training classifier. The main ways to construct segmental lexical as follows. The first one is that based on the single word set of aspect words and segmental words, constructed by bootstrapping using the dependency cities relationship. The second, using the association between seminars and automers in language dictionaries to identify segmental words. The last one uses the occurrences statistic of words and phrases to construct phrases similar graph, and the graph application algorithm to construct segmental lexical. The next state is tri-segment classifier, such as Nobels and support vector machines. In recent years, based on the neural network method, such as the follow model, must use LSTM neural networks and attention maximum. Next, I will briefly introduce the LSTM. LSTM is a long short-term memory network and a time-recurrent neural network, which is mainly used to solve the problem of graded disappearance and graded exposure in long sequence. The LSTM has been applied in many fields, for example, learning translation language, controlling robots, image analysis, and so on. There are three main stages in LSTM. The first is the forget stage, meaning to selectively forget the input from the previous node. In brief, forget the unimportant and remember the important. Next is choose memory stage. The inter of this stage is selective memories, meaning to select and memorize the input. The last is the output stage, will determine what will be regarded as the output of the current state. Attention mechanism is a resource allocation scheme, which is the main means to solve the problem of information overload and allocate computing resource to more important tasks. The first picture is the traditional coding and decoding model, and the second picture is the structure of adding attention mechanism. All the outputs of the encoder are inverted and combined, then input to the decoder at the current position to inference the output of the decoder. Where can also use more context information of original data. Next, it mainly introduces the research framework. We proposed a novel long short-time memory network with multiple attention and aspect context for aspect segmental analysis. The model consists of 5 models. The first model is input embedding, which includes aspect location-weighted word and the aspect context. Then the aspect embedding and the location-weighted word embedding are combined as input of a LSTM model. The expected content selection model main test that heading state is multiplied by the content attention distribution to achieve the feature embedding, which is highly relevant to aspect target. The last handling stage of the forward and the backward are content to generate the feature embedding, which contains the context semantic information of the aspect target. Last model is the fusion of the above two feature embedding to generate the final segmental feature embedding of the aspect target. The framework introduces a multiple attention combined mechanism, which consists of 3 parts: location attention, content attention, and class attention. The location attention mainly focuses on the relative location information between the aspect target and their context. In the sentence show, grant is the sentence word for the aspect target fold, and grant is closer to the aspect target fold than to dreadful. However, for another aspect survivors, the relative distance to the relevant segmental word dreadful and the irrelevant segmental word grant is the same. This phenomenon poses a threat to the simple location weight calculation, citing the penetration-based algorithm. The content attention is responsible for considering the semantic information related to the aspect target in a comment. The calculation formula is as follows. The class attention is introduced to overcome the classification model data variance caused by an imbalance in the trained data. In addition, smoothing factor phi is introduced to smooth the weights, which may lead to very high class attention weights. The third part is mainly related to experiments. We apply accuracy metric to confirm result and performance analysis of the model classifier, which defined as a simple name or where name code represents the amount of present samples. Name O represents the total amount of samples. 4 different languages have considerable different experience for segmentals. The performance of the model is evaluated on 4 different language datasets, including Chinese and English. As shown in table, the dataset is divided into training set and test set. The first 3 rows are English dataset, and the last one is Chinese. We have 4 domain datasets will be in the field of the new purpose model, and the baseline model are compared. Accuracy of the 3-class segmental classification, the best performance in bold. Compared with the other baseline, our model achieves better results on distance of 4 different domains and 2 different languages than other models. For further compare the performance of a new model with other baseline models in aspect segmental analysis, we conduct another experiment with only the data of positive and negative. In 4 datasets, the experimental results are shown in the table, which reveals that the accuracy of model were significantly improved after the neutral data was removed. We investigated the neutral reveals in the 4 datasets and found that most of the neutral complements are object statements about expected and do not contain segmental experience from reveals. We conduct another experiment to prove the validity of the mountain attention model. The first is an LSTM NLAC model, which has no location attention. The LSTM NCAC model, which has no class attention. For this experiment, we just keep the more positive and negative part data from the 4 domains listed as a binary segmental classification experiment. The evaluation results are shown in the figure. The LSTM MATGAC model reaches optimum performance. To study the impact of aspect context model, the accuracy of aspect segmental classification, we construct 2 models named LSTM MATG1 and LSTM MATG2, replace the aspect context model with another respectively. Then the 3 LSTM MATG models were used to conduct another aspect segmental analysis experiment on 4 datasets. The result shows that aspect context model, which takes an aspect target as a title object and including the left and the right context of aspect wording with the LSTM network, can make the LSTM MATGAC generate more accuracy segmental features with the aspect, and ultimately raising the accuracy of aspect segmental classification. Also, we list 4 examples from the restaurant and the laptop datasets, and we'll see the weight of each force attention to determine which has the greatest effect on the emotion polarity of the aspect. The darkness of the color indicates the ground of attention weight. The darker the color is, the more important the word is. The last part concludes the paper and points the direction for future improvement. This paper proposed a new model to take the challenge in aspect segmental analysis. The model leaves the mountain attention mechanism and aspect context, where multiple attention makes the new model to contrast the relative between aspect target and their context world from different perspectives. Meanwhile, because different perspectives have different context in a review, the aspect context model, including the both side context of the perspective through LSTM evaluations on 4 datasets, indicate that new proposed model has improved from the accuracy compared to models from FRAMWORKS, validating the higher performance of the mountain attention mechanism and aspect context on aspect segmental analysis. The shortcoming of this model is the word embedding of each word in an expected place. The future of important words in the expected phrase may not be captured effectively. Future work will investigate how to introduce the attention mechanism into expected phrase. Thank you